What's going on? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen as well? Okay. All right. Gotta expand this thing a little bit more so that I can read the chart better. I hope everything is looking good, better than yesterday, right? The screen is not blurry and okay, great. That's cool. Let's give them a few more minutes to join. I just updated them right now so they can join us, then we'll start immediately. Cool. Love to see that. Love to see that. You're all welcome to my live session. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so that when I'm hopping on a session like this, you'll be notified immediately, because this is going to be something that I'll be doing very frequently. So you want to stay updated always. I think I'm going to be switching from Zoom sessions to YouTube live sessions, because yeah, it just feels better that way. So do well to subscribe, and if possible, turn on the post notifications so that you'll be notified every time that we are live and you can join us. I sent in a trade on GBP USD yesterday. I just woke up. It's not been long. I woke up because I slept late. So I'm just seeing the trade now. The price action from last night. If you took the trade, I would suggest that you close it out on break even now because of the price action. I didn't want to see price close below this H1 support. Well, they have closed below it. They've taken that support. So if you have that trade open, close it at break even. We'll wait for the daily level, because we still have another zone, another buy zone on the daily level. I've closed out mine on break even. I've closed mine on break even. So if yours is still open, close it. So we'll see what happens. Then we'll look for another entry. So did you guys trade gold? How many people here took the gold buys? and how many people waited it out because the move did not happen instantaneously as we would normally prefer it. There was lots of pullbacks and retracements, which were cool because the retracements were basically creating room for like multiple entries. But I know how that can actually I know how some persons can interpret moves like that, especially like people who are still in their beginner stage. It's always better when you enter and the market just goes and goes. But when we start getting pullbacks, multiple pullbacks like that, it can cause people to lose hope in the setup or try one way or the other to play it safe by either closing out or reducing their position size to very small position just so that they don't get taken out or taking too much losses. But those pullbacks were actually like good entry opportunities. So did y'all take the trades? Did y'all take the trades? Oh, someone said the audio is breaking up. Is it same for everybody? Is my audio really breaking up? Anyways, the thing with this YouTube live, from people that have been doing it for a while, they told me that there's normally no point whereby like everything just works perfectly. There's always going to be one issue or the other. It's either the video is lagging or at some point, or the audio. So I don't expect 100% perfection, but at least this is better than what we had yesterday. Oh, another person said the audio is clear, so it's probably from your end, maybe your network or something. Okay, cool. So y'all did not take the gold buys. That's a hard miss, That's a hard miss. I see we have 50 of us here. We have 50 of us here already, so we're going to be starting right about now. Everywhere good for sure. Alright, so first of all, I'm happy that you guys can see the screen and it's clear. So welcome to my YouTube live, officially my first YouTube live. So in this live session, I'm going to be walking you all through the XAUSD price action. I'm going to show you all how the thought process behind the analysis and everything, how I analyzed it using really simple strategy, nothing extra, simple strategy. There's echo. Are you serious? Okay. Hold on, let me see if the problem is from the mic. Is this still echoing now? Is this still echoing? Okay. Oh, all right, cool. It was from the mic actually. I just figured out that there's an option for echo and it was turned on. So I just had to turn it off now. All right, cool. Okay, so no more echoes so we can get going. All right, so let's dive in. Let's dive into the chart. Let's break down this move on XAUSD. Okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. So let's break down this move from XAUSD. Um, First of all, you guys know that when I'm looking to trade any pair, especially pairs I've not traded for a while, the first thing that I want to do is look for the direction. I want to see what the structure is because, like I said, like I always say, you guys at this point, I'm literally like a market structure ambassador. So I always want to see what direction price is moving, what the structure is, which is what will inform which direction I'll be looking to trade if I'm going to be looking for buying opportunities or selling opportunities. So on XAUSD, I did identify that we have been bullish. Of course, everybody knows right now that gold has been bullish for the longest period of time. It has basically been creating new all-time highs every now and then, and it's not a surprise, especially given what the whole um world event and economic event and stuff. And you all know that gold is a safe haven commodity, so obviously this is a commodity that people would store their wealth in when everything else is shaky, when there's uncertainty in the economy. So that's why gold has been pulling up and pulling up and pulling up and creating new highs and all that. So first I identified that we're bullish, and then the next thing is looking for the last impulse leg that created the last all-time high, right? So the last impulse leg that we had was this guy right here. This was the last impulse leg. Let me change it to premium and discount. All right, cool. So this was the last impulse that we had on gold to create the current all-time high. So normally the way I trade, I always like to buy at discounts and sell at premium levels, even though most of the time, yes, the session is recording, it's being recorded. Oh wait, hold on. Oh my god, I wasn't actually recording. No, it just started recording now, but it's cool. We've not gone far. So I'm just gonna refresh what I've already said. So looking at the chart on XAUSD, first thing I wanted to just identify the direction, which was bullish, of course, because we've been creating new highs, all-time highs, for a very long period of time. And normally, if I'm looking to trade in any direction, I want to see that price is retraced back into a discount level for a bullish scenario, or a premium level for a bearish scenario. And in this instance on gold, I saw that the last impulse that we had, the last push to the upside that created the last high, which is the current all-time high, it started from this level. It started from over here and then it stopped here. So this was a valid range to consider price retracing back into, right? And I want to see that price is coming back into discount of the range. And we clearly did that. Now on the higher time frames, the let's say weekly time frame, the retracement did bring price back into a an area of imbalance, a fair value gap, which was a good place for them to return back into to rebalance that level. Here, this is the weekly time frame. This is the weekly time frame, and this was the fair value gap that price tapped into. This was the fair value gap that price tapped into, and also this weekly order block was also tapped into. On the daily time frame, we have a much clearer fair value gap over there. So this is the daily level. This is the daily fair value gap that price reached into. And that fair value gap was valid. Why? Because it was sitting at the discount price level. So it made sense that price is tapping into it and we're moving from there. This is the fair value gap. You notice how price nicely reached into it. You notice how price nicely reached into it and then we reacted from there. So this was where the buys started. The first push to the upside started inside of the discount range also. Now, also while we were making the bearish retracements, I always tell people that when you are dealing with structure, you don't just pay attention to the pro trends like the main structure. You also pay attention to the counter trends, which is the retracements, because it is from the counter trend that you're going to know when the retracement is over and we're about to continue in the original direction. So clearly, when we started making this bearish retracement, we picked up from here, right? This was the peak. This was the all time high. We picked up from there. We dropped into this area. Now, as of the time of dropping into this area, this daily fair value gap was still pretty much open, right? Price had not yet reached into that daily fair value gap. So we made a pullback and then created a new high, which reacted to the previous high and then made a final drop that tapped into the fair value gap on the daily time frame. So this is the counter trend. This high to this low, and then this high to this low. This is the counter trend. So for us to know that XAUSD is continuing to the upside, we want to see that price takes out this high. But then if you look at it, it's very far off, right? If you look at it, it's very far off, which means we have to also be looking out for other things inside of here that would give us a bullish direction. The first one was price reaching into that daily um fair value gap. So for anybody who probably was comfortable with an entry from that point, yeah, that was a good entry opportunity for the buyers, and you would have caught it from the bottom, like before the move started. But then what we are interested in is the current price action, the one that we're able to catch, the one that we traded. Okay, so this high was still holding while price did all of this, and I remember telling people in my Telegram channel that we could see a buy on XAUSD. In fact, I was very much interested in seeing a buy on XAUSD, but at the same time, we need to be paying attention to this high because this high is still a valid um bearish impulse leg to the downside, right? Which means that for us to know that the buys is solid, price is going to have to go and take this high. So the price action that happens within this area is what is going to tell us if price is going to respect this high and go lower, or price is going to go and take it out. So let's look at the price action that happened inside of the area. Now first, we started off with this move, right? We were impulsing and reaching into that high, and then we made this impulse from here to here, right? And then upon coming down, we had a bullish expectation from this area that we could potentially buy and go and take out that high. But then price played out differently. Now let's see how price played out. Rather than reacting to this high, rather than reacting to this low to go higher, price took it out. Now upon taking it out, what did we achieve? We achieved a retracement back into this other level, into this other impulse leg, this low to this high. So price reached into discount of this level, and at the same time reached into this imbalanced candle. Now one thing I notice about gold is that gold is one pair that always moves from areas of imbalance. Once gold tap into an imbalance, it likely bounces off from there. Any fair value gaps are fair value gaps are usually points of reversals for when it comes to gold. So we had price retrace into this area, discount of this range, and also tap into this fair value gap, and then we started to push from there. Now, as we're pushing off from there, remember the price action that played out here, right? To some people, this price action will be read as a sweep up here and a shift to the downside, right? Which means as we're coming back up, there are people who would have a bearish expectation. Don't worry, this thing is not going to be completely flawless, but we're just going to try and manage. The recording should be better, I suppose. So, yeah. So, there are people who are going to be looking for selling opportunity as price was coming back up here. But then we'll see that that did not happen. Rather, price took this high. Price took this high. So, upon taking this high, clearly now we have a new range, which is this low to this high, which is this low to this high. So now we're solid that we're going back to the upside, which um as of the time of impulsing from here, we also created a gap right about here. Let me zoom in. Markets opened with a gap here, and they failed to fill that gap and continued pushing to the upside. So that gap became somewhere of interest because there is a very high chance of them coming back to fill that gap that they left open there before continuing the move. So also bearing that in mind, we looked at the price action from here. We can see that price reached into this fair value gap, reacted from it, and then went to break structure to the upside. So clearly we have a new range to pay attention to, which is this low, which is this low to this high, right? And then inside of this range, at the discount price level of the range, we have a gap inside of the place, which gives us a very precise point of interest, which is this area. So as we started to make the push back into the area, we're paying attention to what price is going to do when we reach into this area. And clearly we reached into it. Price tapped into that gap and then gave us a reaction to the upside. So this was the buy zone at the time. This was the buy zone. This was where we tapped in and then made the first push. Now let me take you down to the 1 hour so that we can better see all the entries that were all the entries that um we had. So we tapped into the gap, we made the first push, and the first push shifted structure to the upside by taking out this high. On the lower time frame, you will see it clearer. It might not be very clear from here, but on the lower time frame, this was a high that made the final drop into that gap. So taking it out was a shift to the upside, and after doing that, we made our first return. So after shifting structure, we made our first return, and then we returned from here, we returned back here and made the next impulse. So right now we're basically having price building structure as they move to the upside. We're having price building structure as they move to the upside. So this was the first impulse to the upside. Take out this high, and then this was the next impulse to the downside. Sorry, retracement to the downside, reacting to the low that caused the break of structure, and then we had another impulse to the upside, breaking structure to the upside again, taking out the previous high, and then we had what, another pullback into the low that broke structure, and then we had another rally. But in this particular rally, did not take out this high. This one did not take out this high, right? And then we had a retracement back before making the final push to finally take out that high. So when this retracement was happening, this other retracement, after we took out that high, we retraced whole candle back down. Now, when this retracement happened, people who would have seen it as, you know, who would have misunderstood the price action, because then would have been looking for a condition from here. As back, would have probably been looking for price to react to this area to go do the next push. But then instead of doing that, price took out everything and over to react. Took out this and react. Why do that? Why did we have to take out this zone? Because this was NFP, right? Yeah, NFP. Was it this week that NFP happened? CPI, I think CPI. Yeah, CPI we take zone back here to react. Simple, because this started here. So this is the actual range. This low, this high is the actual range. So this guy was in liquidity as internal liquidity. Why is use that as the next impulse to the upside? So it made sense to see that they took this here and still vected this other one to move to break structure to the upside once again. And right after the upside, you see how we're basically moving upward. After breaking the structure, did what again? We came back down to come and react one more time. Just gold is one pair that, as I've seen now, it always respect fair value gap. You see that retracement came back into fair value gap, and they need that impulse to the upside and broke structure once again, and then finally reach the first target, which is this high. So we reach the first, which is this high. Now the second target, of course, is the 4-hour high, which is the bearish leg that I was still holding, and price also took it out, which have now solidified a bullish direction on XAUSD. I'm talking about this high. Price have it out before we even saw this retracement. It's now solidified this XAUSD. So it was very simple. Like, this is the first time in a very long time that I've seen gold make moves like this, whereby everything was just so textbook and so clear, so easy to understand. So while these retracements would have seemed like a reason to chicken out of this trade, this retracement was rather um price giving you chances to, take multiple entries, because we're building structures we're moving. Of course, building structures, is defined by high and higher low. Maybe structure is basically price making new highs, breaking previous highs and respecting the lows, and going to break another high and respecting the low. And that's what we have here. What the same was, I reached into that gap, reacted from that gap nicely, and that gap, where was it? That gap was inside of a discount price level, and gaps are things that that price is definitely going to come and fill back up whenever it's created. And reached into it, made the first move, took out structure on the lower time frame, and then did the retracement back into the low that broke structure, taking this other guy as internal liquidity to sponsor the next push. And then we reacted to the low that broke structure and did another pulse, take out the high that was previous. And right after that, we trace in, expect the previous low, and making that impulse to the upside to break structure above previous high. And after we did what we do again, we made that placement back into the low the previous low, then another push structure above previous high. After that, we did what again? Another respecting low, rebalance back low, and then making another push to the side. This is the simplest I've ever seen XAUSD price action. This is the simplest I've ever seen XAUSD price action. So if you were ever confused at any point, you could have just gone back to your basics, which is your basic structure, and just read it through like that. While all of this is happening, of course, that price is basically creating structure while reaching into the external target, the external liquidity target. External liquidity target was high first, then the high on the 4 hour time frame. Let me clean this up a bit so that this chart can look recognizable. So it wasn't really like extremely intricate price action that happened on XAUSD that was beyond what we already know and what we already understood. It was pure market structure, and it delivered nicely. So the first target was taken, which was this high, and target which was this, so defied a bullish direction. The next target that will go to price is this high. So we're looking at probably creating a high, right? But now you should also keep it at the back of your mind that since we have strong above this high or this high, if XAUSD is another retracement back down before back up, that can also happen. Okay, so when that is happening, don't be scared. Don't think that it's changing direction or it's